Thanks, Coach, for doing this. How are you? Welcome to California.
Thank you for having me, Sanjeev. Doing pretty good. I think we are enjoying different parts of California. Can I say that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And now we are in San Jose.
San Jose, and we are also, enjoying the MLC cricket. And again, it's been a pleasure to travel with you. So, June 14th, 2025, today. June 14th, I'm sure reminds you of something that happened. I don't know what happened about a year back. Can you take us through what happened?
You are lying if you're saying you don't know what happened 2014 June 2024. You were very close to scripting history, probably putting Nepal's name in the history books of world cricket, especially at the World Cup level. And we lost. We lost the game by 1 run, so very close margins which you're talking about. But I'm still trying to think what's the right way to put it across. Interestingly, South Africa is lifting the World Test Championship trophy today in England on the same date. If I got it right,
I think so.
Those days and dates and all that stuff. And then you're remembering Nepal's journey in World Cup 2024 against South Africa.
Yeah.
In stadium name I forgot, but in obviously Arnoldsdale in St. Vincent.
Yes. So I think it's the butterfly effect. So South Africa, we want to take all the credit for your victory today because we pushed you and you realized, and you beat us by 1 run, and here you are. You're the world champions, the Test champions. Okay. So Coach, let's talk about that. So yes, it was disappointing, sure. But prior to that game, like at least no one, when they would have read that Nepal was facing South Africa for 2020 World Cup game, no one would have given Nepal a small chance even, right? So there was a lot of positives that came out of that, right? Can you take us through some of the positives that you thought that came out of that?
It's a journey, right? We are trying to build a story, and as we speak, I'm really happy that we went to Scotland and we've got few wins in WCL. So, but most importantly, 14 June and the game against South Africa and the positive that you're talking about. We were on a journey of partnership with purpose. That's the way I put it. Whether it be me in my coaching role or all the support staff, the players together. And I know a lot at stake because I did demand to go in early for this World Cup prep on this side, and quite a few things we were trying to put in place with challenges of one game rained off, some of those practice sessions rained off. But then we were right there in West Indies looking forward to this game. Quite a few plans, were very well executed. We dared something different. I know Bhurtal bowled the ultimate over of that game. Yes, not 100% present on the field. That's the way I will also put it. So I'm obviously bringing in the learning side of it as well. But the positives were that great partnership, Anil and Asif coming together. At one stage, we were 85 for 2. It looked like we will win it. I wouldn't say easily because there is always nerves in your mind at that point when you're at world stage and trying to script your story. But that was definitely one of the positives. I felt Rohit's leadership for me is positive. I am seeing him grow even now. That is a big positive for the nation. And the most important positive part for me was that, when the pictures were shared with me, even when Paras mentioned me about the 2D KL and all the places where people were staying awake and watching the game, it felt like the whole nation was united because of this one sport.
I'll tell you, I had people in Seattle that normally would not watch cricket at all, and they were very enthusiastic. They were jumping up and down. They were getting excited more than I was, which was surprising. I know Gulsan gets a lot of flack in some sense, which is for the wrong reasons because it's a very difficult sport. People have to understand that you're in that situation. So obviously he's been criticized, but for the wrong reasons. I understand that. But there was more element to that, right? Like there's not a lot of people know that South Africa had already appealed. Can you talk about that real quick?
We obviously spoke about this not on the podcast, but just before we got onto this podcast. But I think, I had a conversation with the umpires. They had mentioned me, in fact, day after the game was concluded while we were having breakfast, that As Gulshan ran across, he was blocking the vision of the wicketkeeper. And wicketkeeper, when they throw it on the opposite and it hits your body, it's like you're blocking the target area. And they had appealed for that too. So even if Gulshan was in the crease, he would have been given out. So it's not that his, we talk about his awareness and all that stuff. But look, when someone is running in that pressure on the other side and something hits on your body, you will probably react to that. And for whatever reason, he slowed down at that point. But I never asked him that question, what happened there, because I knew very clearly that even if he was in the crease, he would have been given out. So that's not the point. But I thought, you talk about also he got a lot of flake and all that. But today, for me, he's also a core member of this team. And when you're competing at the highest level and you're trying to build your identity and you come across such kind of things as well, it builds your character. And Gulshan is very young and the entire team is very young. So, with few of them, of course, were the torchbearers for me, Sompal Kami and KC Karan. But yeah, this is what it is. I'm happy for whatever has been done and Gulshan is growing. So I'm happy for him as well.
Yeah, no, obviously there's a lot of positives. We had so many IPL franchises. They were congratulating. I actually took this quote from Harsha Bhogle. Harsha Bhogle says, "Hold your heads high, Nepal. That was South Africa you almost took down today. You have some of the most passionate fans and you let them believe. Hopefully bigger days are around the corner." So I think first of all, Coach, I want to thank you for being here, but also a lot of Nepali fans are very thankful for your leadership, what you brought to the team and where we were before, your tenure, and obviously in your time, you did fantastic. Now, I want to talk about, Monty a little bit, right? What does Monty like, or what was it his childhood like? So can you take us a little bit through your beginnings, how, where you grew up and how cricket sort of influenced you, and then can you take us through your early days?
No, before I talk about any of those things, I am grateful to you as well. And you spoke about fans over here, and I think the biggest strength, and I've said this many a times, that biggest strength of Nepal cricket is and will remain the fans, the 12th man. And happy just to keep on expressing myself, to get this love. I'm very, very grateful to you, to all of them. We live in a world where sometimes we miss out on even loving ourselves, and then you realize that there are so many people around who are loving you for, I was just playing my professional role, so grateful. Talking about my journey, I don't know where to start, but love coaching is what I remember now properly, and yes, wanted to become a professional cricketer, but I think few important people highlighted me very early that I should probably take coaching more seriously, and yeah, I just love doing coaching.
Sure. And you started also when the IPL was in its infancy, basically, right? It was like just starting, and then you got called in. Can you take us through like what that was at the time? Like how you got approached and what was your experience with it being coached and at the stage?
I moved to America in 2006 for good. And while I was coming up the ranks as a certified coach in India, in Mumbai, my last assignment in 2006 was assisting under 17 team of Mumbai. But I moved here for good for a reason, because of, again, I'm principled man, and some values which comes across to you as family is important. So you take a decision. But my good friend Zubin Barucha, who is still part of the Rajasthan Royals franchise, he was involved there, and I was obviously looking at their glory from year one, 2008, where he was able to bring everyone together, and kind of a story, right, which was the telling point at the start of IPL. I was given an opportunity to go back and get involved as a scout first, and then as a development coach, which was in 2008 September. So I went for good, and since then, I think I've been on this coaching journey. Has been really, really, really satisfying.
Sure. And I see we've spent like a few days here, and I can tell you, I get that feeling from you that coaching comes natural to you. There's a big smile to you. You're always encouraging. The words are very encouraging. One of the things that I did my research a little bit, and I believe that you were approached to coach the American cricket team, like the U.S. team, and you chose us over them in some ways. Obviously, see, if I was in your position, it would be a little difficult to kind of not go with the US option because your family's here, right? And but yet you chose Nepal. Again, we're very thankful for that. Can you take us, what was your reason for choosing Nepal over?
Quite a few reasons. I think my personal memories of having worked with the Nepal team before. Pubudu, Coach Pubudu, I have tremendous respect for him. He's someone who introduced me to associate cricket in 2011 when he was the head coach of Cricket Canada. So my relationships with him, my working relationship with him, of course, and then introduction to Nepal cricket in many ways. And I remember the first opportunity which I took to bring across in Royals franchise something unique, something different. Although it didn't turn out to be a contract or a professional journey for Shakti Gauchan and many other things, So, but probably for this decision, it was all about those good memories. And then I felt that if I have to really challenge myself, this is the assignment that I can look forward to. And it worked out very well, So, yes, we talk about US and Nepal and taking decisions. It's always difficult when you're having that conversation at home with your family. But sometimes you also take some instinctive calls. And this was one of those where I felt that risk-taking ability of my journey, I would put it that way, because there are many risks I've taken in my life. I mean, being an engineer, to not do engineering, not to take my father's business seriously and then get into coaching journey is very different and very unique is what I've been told. And I keep saying I love coaching. So, and I also felt that, the audience that I was looking forward to, these young Nepali cricketers, I've worked with them in under-19 team as well. And Rohit was the one I had spoken to. I had spoken to Gyanendra at that time. He was playing for the national team. I had spoken to Paras while he was not in the system, not in the administration side, but I had taken his view as well. And of course, this came across to me from Binod Das. While I was on verge of taking a decision and moving forward with US cricket, but this also came as an option. So I thought through a lot, and I felt that it was a good challenge to get in. Very, very happy that I did that, because there are memories for life now.
Absolutely. And I think, it is an understatement to say that Nepal's rise under your leadership has been remarkable, because we've hit some of the highs. Yes, we lost to South Africa by a run, and, we lost to Bangladesh with a fairly close margin. We possibly could have won that game in Dallas against Netherlands too. But after that, we beat USA 3-0 in the USA itself, right? So that was under your leadership. So in your tenure, what do you think that really clicked for the team? Like, what the thing that really was the transformational as far as the team goes?
Good question. And I think one of the things which you can start off with is honesty, because probably I was able to put across some thought-provoking questions to the players who wanted to regain the ODI status, the management who really wanted that to happen as well, because I think there was a accountability in place for everyone. And the workshop which we did, I was able to put across those questions to not only just the players, also to the management, to see that which way we are heading. And like I said earlier, partnership with purpose. And that I could see that the communication, the clarity that we brought in gave us the platform to put across plan and then work on that plan. Prepare really well on that one. I mean, everything else is history, but those are the things which I would say. And I was given enough backing. I knew that it was not straightforward to, and we have spoken about it, but it's still, it's satisfying to say about it again, that, to regain the ODI status. And I think it also instilled a lot of confidence in all these players. You can see that core group is sticking together well, and they understand the importance of responsibility that they carry on their shoulder, or not for their own careers, but more importantly, what they leave as footprints for people to follow.
Sure.
And story to keep building.
Yeah. And see, I come from Nepal. I explained this to you also. So I have a very, very good friend of mine in Dallas. We practically played cricket all the way through, since we were 4 years old. And I remember him and I, at the time, right after we were probably 16, 17, we did not have a place to go because we were very interested in joining academy. Mm-hmm. And at the time, you understand that there's no social media, there's no like there's really no outlet really that's advertising that, hey, there's an academy, and there's limited, you have to have like channels, things like that. So we went to this school, like there's a school, a rice school in Ganisor, and so we go there. You have probably about 30 to 40 kids that are practicing, and there's a coach. I forgot the coach's name, and we go there, and we ask the coach, we're very interested in joining. What's the method? And he says, hey, look at this. This is full. We can't take you. We're sorry. And we just felt like, we weren't the poor kids, but it felt like the rich kids were playing and we're just the poor kids that were on the side. It was not that case, but it felt like that. And what my friend did, and shout out to Sogat, by the way, in Dallas. So what he did is he kind of snuck into like the bowling lineup and he just bowled, right? And the coach kind of let that go. And he's a good bowler too, by the way. I did the same, and that's how we entered the academy, right? Now, are there still challenges in that department? One of the things that I know that Sakti Gochan and the other players are going around the country. They have these camps, and it's a beautiful thing to do. They're scouting. But from your perspective, like how are we progress as far as like scouting goes? Have we made any progress in the scouting side of things? What are the challenges that we see right now?
I mean, if we have to compare with where the world cricket is, definitely there's a lot more to look into, a lot more to achieve. Challenges will be there, so because of infrastructure, they are trying to build the first stadium now. And I'm hopeful that it will be in place. The famous historical TU will be turned into a big stadium that will fall in place. Shakti, Paras, quite a few local coaches, Basant for that matter, and Jagatji, many of those people are looking into it. I think that franchise model helped last year because they also did a bit of scouting with their franchises in different provinces. I know they're putting quite a few fixtures in place as well. So one of the areas which I haven't heard more closely is how well the school cricket is getting organized, but that was also one of the talks which we had in my tenure and the 2 years when we were having this conversation with the management. So I'm hopeful that all those things should fall in place, and then there is also some provision from ICC. The ICC funding comes into play when you have all these well-recorded leagues and games, the junior levels, school cricket, all that stuff. If it's well-recorded, well-measured, and you put it across, there is some funding which can be given as well. So I'm sure they are looking into that as well. Calendar-wise, you have to see it year by year. You have to review it. What all things that you have done well, and then of course you also preview what else you can bring in so that it happens.
Sure.
You gave your example. So in that regards, I think, even 2 years when we practiced at TU, we only had a couple of lanes on the side, 1 or 2 bowling machines to look into. Like I said, if you have to compare with world cricket where it stands, we have still a long way to go. But I think this is one sport which is uniting the nation, and a vision serves purpose.
Sure.
So this is one of those things that people can look into more seriously and have some education around it as well. That's one of my urge for sure, that,
sure.
Let's not have them only playing cricket, but build their soft skills, because that was one of the challenge which I came across. Was very compassionate when I was challenging them, but I know that it's not, their self-worth and all that, they don't really understand so far. But that was one of the education that we were trying to bring in place with the national side as well, to understand that where you stand as a cricketer and what all other things which you can bring in as part of your skill. So I'm trying to open up a little more than just, infrastructure.
No, this is good because that's a perfect segue into that. My next question was going to be, obviously you saw challenges in your tenure at the time, and that kind of highlights, obviously it's not only the facilities, but also the team is fairly young, right? Like it's not, they're I guess like one of the youngest teams around. And
you're the youngest captain in the World Cup.
In the World Cup, right? And so there's going to be some challenges in that side of things. So this is good. Now, with the introduction of the NPL T20, I think what that's going to do is going to excite more people. More kids are going to come out. I think that's the effect that IPL had, I think, on the Indian cricket team as well. You had like a lot more people coming out and a lot more talent to kind of go from. Do you agree with that? Like, do you think NPL will help?
Huge,
right?
Undoubtedly huge. And the first year of NPL was impressive. You had quite a few personalities which came over. You had Brian Lara who came and visited. You had Shikhar Dhawan who played for a franchise. So that is a good news. And I'm sure, those are the kind of messages which will go across the world, and a lot more people will take interest. You talked about scouting earlier on. I think Nandan Yadav, he is one of the products of NPL. I heard about him before, but I was told that he had already moved to Australia because of financial challenges and all that stuff at home, and probably also not really confident that he can break into the national side and clarity of pathway which can be given. Kishore was another example of that, who after played a good game in Zimbabwe against Ireland, but for personal reason, for family reason, he had to also move to Australia. He came back in NPL to play games as well.
Yeah.
So I think NPL is becoming a good platform for a lot of these players to feel that, okay, they can have some decent remuneration in place and probably follow their dream a little longer. And Nandan's story is a perfect example because he did a debut for national side as well.
Yeah.
Did very well on that game.
Yeah, I think like just the last record that we've had in the last couple of weeks, we beat Scotland by Karan Casey played his innings of his life. We lost out to Scotland again by 2 runs, which probably should have won the game. But there's the positivity is that you're scoring these 320s, 310s, right, which was unheard of. And one of the questions, a lot of the questions that came from the audiences was how it feels like batting is our Achilles heel. We need help in batting. Okay, let's talk about that. Batting from the grassroots level, right? What do you see in Nepal? Like what's progressing through, and where do you think, what's our issue with batting?
Again, a good question. And there's not one single thing that I can point out, but for batsmanship and for batting to really stand out for any nation, the most important thing for me is the surface, right? So we spoke about that too. I know that in a very challenging way in the very first series, I had to convince, when we were trying to regain the ODI status I'm talking about, we had to convince my leadership group and management group to go away from the strategy of spin to win because we were desperate to win those games. But we created some good flat surfaces and we were able to score 280s and chase down. Chase down those 280s in those 12 games people talk about. That made me realize one thing, that, like I said, if you have consistent good surfaces in different provinces and you have well-educated, well-informed, passionate development coaches in different provinces, probably you will have that foundation in place because you need to teach them the fundamentals in the right way. Once you have those fundamentals well coached, well taught, you expect some of these players to grow through that. And of course, then when you are on those good competitive surfaces where you can score runs as well, it gives you confidence. And I think many games starts at 9 o'clock, 9:30. That is also a bit of challenge. And as much as I was trying to make them take those bold decisions to bat first, it was not always easy for them to put it in their mind and accept it.
Yeah.
But I think they have grown, they have matured in that too, because that was our constant message at that point. Look, credit goes to the current management as well. Like you said, that they had very good results. Out of 4 games, they won 3. They could have had a clean sweep, which means the experience of having not done well on overseas tours by the same core of players, and now to reflect on those experiences and have someone else also as a leader. You have Stuart Law as a head coach now, who is also probably pushing them, challenging them. Is helping at the highest level. So if you have players who can average at least 40, that is the way I look at it, 35 to 40 in ODIs, at the highest level, you're setting the benchmark.
Right.
Again, in comparison to world cricket, those benchmarks are nowhere nearer to the best elite players. But that is another example of what we need at the domestic level. In my 2 years of tenure, I don't think I came across any player who was consistent enough with his averages of 35 plus or 40 plus, even in domestic games. One standout season Anil Shah had, and that's how he broke into the national side. There are quite a few potentially good players.
Yeah.
I talk about potential, but the fact remains that the potential versus what they are at present is not the same.
Correct.
So to again sum it up, good pitches, probably a system in place, 7 provinces system in place, a good coach education program in place, and dedicated development coaches.
Okay. So
It's a partnership of everything together.
surfaces, obviously, they make a huge difference for sure.
Massive,
right?
massive.
Yeah, and I mean, no matter how good of a batsman you are, if the pitch is not the greatest, you're gonna struggle for runs, right?
I think if you go a little more deep in that also, it's also giving false confidence to a lot of spinners. If you see on the surfaces, I've seen spinners picking fifers very regularly. So that is also not good because you want
Right.
them to be more accurate, more patient, and bring across wickets through a lot of discipline and things like that. And another thing is that you want fast bowlers as well. So if you have nice bouncy pitches, it will. I mean, again, Paras and his team are definitely taking this very seriously. I know that. And hopefully, in few years' time, there was one more ground which came up, right? Extra Tech.
Okay.
In Lumini. I'm expecting that even those pitches will be good now. So
Okay. My thought also was, I think if you had bowlers that could bowl, I don't know, at like 145 plus, if you have maybe 3 of those in your side, at least you can rotate around, right? I think those will be completely transformational because Bangladesh did this. If you recall this, they back in early 2000s when they started, or like when their era was kind of picking up, right? They had decent bowlers, but even eventually they went through like some sort of course where they were able to produce some of these bowlers that can bowl very quick, like 140 plus, 145 plus, right? They found like a couple bowlers like that. How can we? Do you think Nepal has those bowlers right now, and we just need to discover them, or it's a difficult task for us to find that?
I mean, Gulshan is not a regular in team at the moment who is bowling those 8-10 overs, but I also felt that Gulshan has got that heavy ball. So Gulshan and Nandan are great examples of we can find someone who can bowl at 130 plus, 135s, and then again a good SNC program in place to find these unique fast bowlers early with that fast twitch muscles which you talk about. And with the local coaches when I spoke, another thing which I came across was the mountain region and the flatland, right? So the flatland is where you have taller people, and the mountain region is where they have, the height is restricted, but then there could be skiddy ones.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Som Palkami, who was skiddy one, and he's still doing his job and best in the business, at least for associate cricket, and one big one for Nepal.
Yeah.
Casey and him have been shouldering this for a while now. I think if we put good talent search program in place, good scouting program in place, and then again bring in the combination of SNC. There's a lot of scientific side of it also which requires to be upgraded properly. But art of cricket remains. That it goes by without saying. I'm sure if we put that in place, we might be able to find one. And you're right, if you have good fast bowlers in every provincial team, then again the standard of batting will go up because they have to face them regularly.
Absolutely.
And I think many times the associate cricketers who don't have fast bowlers in their country, they find it difficult when they get to the world stage platform and play against all these full member teams who have got 2 or 3 quickies who bowl 140 plus very regularly to adjust to that speed.
Sure.
And especially that speed on a surface where it's also lateral movement.
Exactly. I mean, we talked about this coach, right? I think you were briefly mentioning some of the Indian cricketers, like the batters. They had their analysis done down in Australia regarding what portion of the balls were hitting consistently, right? And there was like some sort of, and you can kind of tweak some of the ways how you're going about your technique, right? Can you talk us through that a little bit? Because a lot of people don't know about this. I actually did not know too much about that.
No, that was a curious one which I came across, an article of Sai Sudarshan. And I was in fact more curious about the fact that Sai Sudarshan is one of those players in IPL who picks up a lot of boundaries. And in fact, it also reminds me that I had this conversation very regularly with Bheem. Sometimes I find him, in my journey with him, I found him desperate about big shots, but we were trying to educate him that you are a great boundary hitter. So Sai Sudarshan is a great example of that article spoke about. They measured his biomechanically. They measured the entire batting sequence, including his bat swing and the sweet spot. And the manufacturer, I don't remember who that person is, but they were able to then get all his 8 to 10 bats in a very similar way. They brought the sweet spot in place, and then it doesn't matter which bat he picks up. He's still able to get the same feel. So even in that high pressure game, in that situation, he's able to pick his gaps and things like that. So
yeah, there's like a lot more analytics to the game, right? So they just kind of changed a lot of things. Okay, let's go talk about this. The young team that Nepal has, right? The youngest captain. I'm a big fan of Rohit.
You are?
I am. Yes.
Okay, good
yes,
to know that.
Yes. Terrific fielder. I mean, I know, he got a lot of flack for, again, dropping that catch against Netherlands, but it's the game, excitement, nervous.
We're talking about the World Cup game.
The World Cup 2020, right? So how do you see? I mean, one of the things about being young is, yes, you're full of energy and you're full of, you want to be confident and you want to do great things, but you need to sort of contain or nurture rather that youth, right? How did you do that, or how were you able to kind of talk to them and kind of bring a little bit more mature level to them? Because again, it's a relatively young side, right? Talk us through that a little bit.
A happy dressing room.
Happy dressing room.
A happy dressing room. These are not just words and letters, but there are fundamental values which connect to each of these letters. So you talked about nurturing. So that is also part of a happy dressing room. We talk about that, and I think the two or three very strong fundamental values which we have tried to put across to them was, one, the deepest one was accountability. So you can get excited about these platforms, but if you're not able to perform, not able to keep yourself level-headed, then you're accountable. We spoke a lot about self-discipline and self-awareness, and through many conversations, we are trying to bring that, literally teach them that. I think because again, most of these cricketers are not from a high level of education background, so you have to explain them where all these soft skills come from. And I think leadership again. Rohit is someone who enjoys taking responsibility. I can see that. And he's caught a bit of flake. So did I as well when we don't get results. And it's a universal thing with any sporting event, with any leadership group. But I think he's handling it very well. So even that part, if you see year by year, and I'm glad that Can management is still investing in him very well. It's helping him because he's taken some good decisions on this tour as well. And tactically, it seems that he is getting better. So, that's one of the things. Many of those talks which we had in our rapid dressing room, where we are trying to encourage them to open up and speak a lot about cricket organically, not necessarily only in formal meetings, but on the breakfast table, in the evening when sometimes you go on team dinners. There were days when we had phones switched off and we were just having a laugh and talk. So it was more like a family together and spending time as a family together, But word family is still, for me, still a couple of more years away from it.
Sure.
Because it's a strong, tight unit. Family gets challenged many times with quite a few adverse situations that you come across, and how strong and how united you are at that point will matter.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you, if there's a story of a player or maybe a set of players that you had under your belt whose growth really moved you, right? Is there any couple players or any player that you can think of that progressed really well? Or
so from under 19 to now, obviously Rohit is one of them. Who's grown in as a leader. I think he's understanding leadership a lot more. But yeah, I think pleasantly surprised and happy also because of two different characters. I can talk about one, Bhim Sharkey, because he's he's a superb grounded human being and works very, very hard to see him again score runs, because we were seeing him right from start that he could be one of our top order batsmen, consistent enough to score at number 3 position. And I see that he's cementing it now even more. That's definitely one of the players that I'm happy about, that he's growing. He should be with the ODI side for a long, long time. Arif, I think we spoke about this a lot in USA in my last assignment for Nepal, where we were pushing him to bring in his bolder version, be more courageous and be free, not to worry about, not to feel insecure. Let's put it that way. So I think I've seen a bit of growth in him as well in this last couple of tours. So happy to see the way. Because again, Arif brings in a lot of experience. He was under Paras when Paras was the captain. So for him to see all this transition, to get the ODI status, to regain the ODI status and still be part of it, I think he has a big role to play in the national side as far as ODI goes.
Sure.
I'm sure they all want to be in both formats, but just talking about this
Sure.
in terms of status and all that stuff.
Let me ask you about Kusal Purtel's leg spin. And obviously he did his magic against South Africa, and also I think he took some wickets against Bangladesh too, if I'm not mistaken. Can you talk us through that? Was it like accident, like he accidentally bowled a leg spin, or do you already had that in your radar that he's a good bowler, we just need to kind of give him chances? What exactly was it?
Open mind approach, and as coaches we also evolve. We also look forward to new things, and curiosity and excitement. These are the two things which stays with me. So it's not under my tenure that we saw his potential as a leg spinner. I think I was informed by people who were already in the support staff that before me Manoj Prabhakar was there, and even they saw something interesting in leg spin with him, and he happily comes and bowls the nets, and I thought that there was something to look forward to. And then look, Nepal cricket is all about not just one or two leaders who have been there. I think it's a combination of many coaches, many people, many management people who must be around, who wanted this to keep on getting forward, going up. And Kushal Purtel is one of those examples. Yes, I'm enjoying his leg spin now because we have two leg spinners in the team. That is a rare commodity for many teams, especially someone who can bat and bowl leg spin, bat and then in the top order and bowl leg spin so regularly for the team. It's one of the positives for the Nepal team.
Yeah, and my heart broke for him when he scored, like he got out on 99 against Zimbabwe. But again, I had not watched Nepal cricket just for like a little bit, and I turned on the TV as I found out that Nepal was playing in Zimbabwe, and then it's like probably 2 a.m. in California somewhere, and I'm pleasantly surprised, like with the bat speed that Kushal had. He's like pulling, and like he's all the boundary scoring that he did, and I was like and just right at that moment when he's like 99, he got out. It was pretty disappointing, but again, overall, I was pretty excited that Nepal cricket had gotten like really good opener in him. Okay. So
let me just participate in that when you said that, but heartbreaking for not only for you. I think the entire dressing room was looking forward to that. He scored 100 in the practice game just before that on the same ground, and he looked in very good touch at that point. And it was a sublime inning, no doubt about it, and one of the best partnerships that Nepal opening pair has scored against a Test nation. Yeah. So 160 plus, which they both scored together on a good ground with the entire fans supporting Zimbabwe, the home team. Yeah, and then I remember Kushal Malla, who was just besides me in the dugout. He was heartbroken.
Oh.
And that was the kind of thing which I was looking forward, enjoying it in the dressing room.
Sure.
That you are seeing someone, your fellow mate who's trying to score 100, and you have another fellow mate inside who is literally getting excited for his partner outside, who's on 99. So yeah, it just kind of got into my head.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a start.
Down
right?
the memory lane, as we say.
Yeah, it's a start, and there's gonna be. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be more centuries coming down for him. That's just waiting to happen. So, Coach, you've been fortunate, to coach in India, Afghanistan, right, Canada, the UAE, Nepal. And every culture is sort of like different, I'm sure, in its own way. How do you adapt to it?
It's my live master's degree with people. I keep saying people, passion, purpose, and different places that you go. So this is one of the excitement that I have, to walk into the dressing rooms where you come across a lot of new culture and then you embrace that. You have to adapt, of course, and I think I try to soak in a lot at the start to understand them before I start participating and start enjoying that. But I think I'm a very rich person at the moment, not in terms of dollars in account, but in terms of the experiences that you come across with so many great personalities, people, human beings that you meet in different parts of the world. Yeah, I'm grateful.
Sure. No. It's just, in some ways like you're fortunate to kind of travel, but also like I can tell you are a person who's very empathetic. I can tell that, and just spending a couple of days here with you here in the Bay Area, I definitely see that. I know there are a lot of coaches that are probably, they may listen to this or they may look up to you. Someone like, I know like we're talking about a few players that have been in touch with you that want to establish more cricketing academies and things like that to their home nations or originally they're from, right? I know you're talking to them. So what are the major advices that you would give to like the aspiring coaches? Coaches are very important because they really glue the team together and they're really responsible for the health of the team, right? But what are the main thing that you would really want to kind of tell the aspiring coaches?
Obviously, for me, coaching also came across very accidental, but love for the game, that's where it starts. I was trying to cater it for my personal club in a small part of Mumbai. So I would say that, the intent is very important. The intent is very important. Why you're trying to do this? Is it serving purpose? And what do you see for yourself long term through that? Not just coaching, right? In any sectors, in any field. I'm sure yourself as an engineer and other things which you are trying to do, like this is your passion now, podcast. You need to understand that is it serving purpose or not? And if it brings out some valuable things for a lot of people, might not be a biggest audience, but if it will leave an impact to even one or two people in their life, you have done your job. When it comes to challenges as coaches, I think, you want the best infrastructure, you want the best equipments and all that stuff. I wouldn't rave a lot about that. As long as you are physically out there on the ground and asking those curious questions to yourself to solve those problems, you will be on that journey. I think you don't want to probably, what would be the right word? You don't want to keep it where it's more like, what is that you're getting out of it immediately. If you're patience and perseverance, that is the way I would put it. Patience and coaching is all about that, patience and perseverance. Yeah. You don't get results immediately.
Sure.
You might not even get results at times. But as long as you're happy with your effort and the right choices.
Yeah. Do you think the World Cup format right now, I thought about this. Obviously, we have about 10 to 12 teams, right?
You're talking about T20?
The actual, the 50 over.
50 overs World Cup last time was 10 teams.
10 teams, right? So do you think there should be more teams in the format, or do you think like we're not there yet? Like it's going to be like too much of a one-sided games in those 50 over format?
I don't know. My thinking matters anymore because we are also at the crossroad of a lot of franchise leagues versus representation of nation. Right? I think as we speak, a few days ago, I was just reading the article of Nicholas Pooran retiring at the age of 28, 29, I think.
Right.
So I don't know if 50 overs will be able to, sustain long term with too many teams able to participate or not. T20 is definitely the way forward. Even in T20, we had 20 teams. I would suggest that not 20, put it to 24, put it to 32, something like that. And make it like a real big event which people can look forward to.
Sure.
That's the way I look at it from, look at football, right? We always looked forward to it because it's every 4 years.
Yeah.
And there is an excitement for it. And then for every 4 years, there is a champion who talks about it, that I'm a defending champion.
Yes.
But now we have events every 2 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much exciting it is for the champions to remain champions for this.
Yeah. No, but speaking of football, coach, I realized I learned a very sad thing about you. So you're an Arsenal fan, right?
Because of Arsene Wenger.
Arsene Wenger. Tell us. I know, like we talked about this, right? See, as a Chelsea fan, I'm supposed to like not talk nice about Arsenal. That's given to me, but I do appreciate what Arsene Wenger did for Arsenal. Can you talk about what you appreciate about him?
No, I liked the fact that homegrown players, kind of academy in place, the kind of time and efforts that they put in to build something which they can consider their own identity. Not many championships, but a lot of quality players were produced under his wing. And I was actually also participating in one of the leadership programs in UK. At that point, I was able to see him, hear him out personally. So
really?
that connected very well with me. And I know that there was a big rivalry between him and Sir Ferguson.
Oh, Ferguson. Oh, yeah.
Right. So, and those were the two big football clubs people used to talk about at the time. So, I'm the one who likes to be on this side where you can go further up. So.
Sure. Well, I have like a lot of friends that are Arsenal fans, and I told them that, hey, by the way, coach is also an Arsenal fan. And
not that I follow football anymore very regularly because, again, there are so many events happening in the world. But yeah, I'm at times when I look at scores and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know, like your tenure was, just a little over 2 years or 2 years, right? It was 2 years.
2 years, exact 2 years. Well honored.
Yeah.
Contract.
What was like the best moment for you in that entire? I mean, I'm sure like it's a very difficult question to ask you, but was there any couple moments that you really felt that you were at that was the high for you?
Plenty, man. Plenty. High for me, not just from cricket point of view, coaching point of view, or enjoying what the players were doing on the field at that TU ground, or for that matter anywhere in the world, but I think few greatest memories for me is sheer passion, love, fans, the way they turn up. That is amazing. When you see those fans with umbrellas on. I think if I have to choose only one, if someone says, you have many, but choose only one, then I would definitely say the Asia Cup finals. I mean, the qualifiers. Not the Asia Cup. Asia Cup qualifiers in TU against UAE, which panned over 2 days. Because of the rain, we had to come again and chase off the score the next day, and just to see the fans, to be there with the umbrellas on and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that was pretty moving.
Yeah, I think that was the game that is a very iconic commentary. I think our dear brother from Ireland, who's an honorary Nepali, Lenny Dai, his commentary was very famous, and the crowd coming into the field, I think that was marvelous.
Of course, Mulpani, where we qualified for the World Cup as well. But still, like I said, if World Cup is a bigger stage, undoubtedly, and we went back to World Cup after 10 years. But Asia Cup, we played for the first time. Pakistan, we played for the first time. India, we played for the first time. So the significance of that probably is slightly on the higher side.
Yeah, still, I mean, I think against Pakistan we may have struggled, but at least batting wise, I'm trying to remember the score. But against India, I think we did pretty well, scoring 200 something, and I thought that was a very commendable effort against mighty India, right? So
definitely, they took it from one game, where they were hurt, to putting up a better show against India, and the rain gods actually helped. We were not sure that the game will happen against India in Kandy, but it did.
Yeah.
So
I do have a few questions from the audiences. I asked like a little bit of a poll going, and then I picked a few. So Niresh Podal from Seattle, he says, or he wanted to ask you, in your 2-year stint as a coach in Nepal, or a Nepali coach, how did your tactical approach evolve? Especially because you had to transition between the formats, the T20s and the ODIs, right? Were there any approaches? Obviously, ODIs would be a little bit slower. T20, you kind of have to like get going. What was your typical tactics, I guess?
So wherever I've coached before, I'm trying to elaborate this to give the insights on a forced tactical approach as well. I think with full member teams, what happens is you have more established batters. So in that set positions, they are able to give you consistently the runs that you're looking for. But when I walked in here, I could see that none of them were really, able to establish themselves, except for openers, of course, because you don't want to do changes with the openers. So most of the period in my tenure, I think Bhushal Bhurtal and Asif opened, and then once year 2, when we had a great PM Cup for Anil, he was brought in as well. I think a couple of those batting changes where we were trying to be proactive and we were training for it. The entire team was well addressed. We had a lot of clear communication that this is the way probably will give us results. And I think those 11 games, if anyone does proper analysis of the 11 games, we had quite a few times where just from immediate proactive point of view, we had some batting changes. Like even Sandeep at one point was put ahead of Arif in a game against UAE in UAE, and it worked for us. So some of those things I think I had to adapt to. But obviously, long-term goal was to ensure that we get 4 or 5 players who can take the responsibility of runs for the team. I think they're on the verge of going in that direction now. Lot of homework with the bowling group, where field sets and all that stuff which we don't talk about. I had a good man with me, Nandan Fadnis, who was also brought in that period, where we were working a lot in making sure that the analysis is done well. I was throwing in a lot of questions, so get numbers in place, some footage in place, which whatever we can, because we don't have a big analytical team in place. Again, the funding plays a huge role in that too. But whatever we could with that, and players were also evolving through that. So I think Roddy Estwick, many of them. I think if I have to drop names, there will be plenty. But
Sure.
The players were able to embrace a lot of these things, and I feel that they are able to take the ownership of their own, especially bowling group.
Sure. Abe from Colorado, he asks, did sometimes emotions got over to you while coaching Team Nepal, or do you think you were rational throughout your tenure? And actually, multiple people actually have said, hey, I was going to ask this same question. So,
No, of course. You're a human being, right? And I reflect all the time. And as much as I want to make sure that I keep my emotions in control, for happy things, I do not worry a lot about it. It's when you're happy, your tears comes out. When we had World Cup qualifiers in Mulpani and we crossed the line, I know that I just couldn't control myself, because I could feel it, how important this day was for so many of Nepali fans, not just for the cricketers, but to go back to the World Cup and just to feel that, I was in tears. Of course, I was in tears. But my concern with myself is, and where I'm trying to constantly self-regulate as a professional, is you don't want to bring in arrogance. But again, if I have to be brutally honest to myself, there are times when I reflect, I feel life could have been more measured, especially with some of the Nepali media people. They had some good questions for me, but I think the timing of those questions in some of those events were not well thought through, is what I felt. So my response to them could have been more measured when I reflect now. So yes, to answer him, not that in my entire 2 years I have handled my emotions properly, but
yeah, and that's being human, right?
I think one of the things which I try to educate, not just in my sporting journey, but also at home with my daughters who are growing up, is that the vulnerable side of us, if as men we keep on trying to hide, I don't think it is great. In fact, my daughter encourages me that also a lot. She's the yellow one and she pushes me a lot on that. I know that off the records we also spoke that she's encouraging me to do podcasts.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think being vulnerable is an important part of a human being, and if you can show that authentic side of you, your team understands you, especially when you're putting in efforts in all other departments, and they also take care of you.
Yeah.
So it was important.
Sure. Okay. I know this question came from Ankit Bhalkaji from Utah. How do you compare Nepalese fans or Nepali fans with the other fans that you've seen? Please, I'm a Nepali, so please talk great things about us now.
No. You had someone who said that he sold his bike and bought a ticket. And
I think someone from Australia did it. I thought like someone sold their vehicle and they came all the way to the US.
Who does that in this modern world?
A Nepali would do it. Like
Right?
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. Who does that? And I know that my time in West Indies and Ian Bishop, if I can say so on this podcast, that he messaged me back as well personally about how much he enjoyed the The enthusiasm of fans in the stands and even the players. He said that there's it takes you in 80s and 90s and the purest form of enthusiasm. That is the way I would put it. Purest form of enthusiasm is what Nepal fans are all about. No one will dare in today's world to climb the trees and watch the game. They still do that without having any fear that what if they fall down.
Don't challenge us, coach. We'll do every single possible way to watch these games, right?
Yeah.
So Ayush Jha from Utah, and it kind of goes with earlier. The first talk that we had. So, what, in your opinion, are the top 3 ways to grow Nepali cricket at grassroots level? So, what are the top 3 ways if you were to?
Top 3, number 1, school cricket. Doesn't matter, how good the infrastructure is or not. But number 1, school cricket. So if all provinces can have school cricket in place. Number 2, yes, I can give an example as Mumbai. Mumbai has got Maidan cricket all around. So Tudi Khel. So something like Tudi Khel where you are able to see cricket all around the cities. So Maidan cricket is something which I'll encourage. Those pitches don't have to be great pitches, but Maidan cricket is something I'll definitely encourage because that teaches you a lot. Of course, good coach education program in place. When I say good coach education, it doesn't mean that you go absolutely deep into technicalities and analysis of it. But coaching is very different. Coaching is where you empower players, empower young kids, make them thinking players. So that's the coach education system that I'm talking about. New Zealand is a great example of that. Long-term athlete development program is something which has come from there. I know from my research work, whatever I've done, I know that is something which has come from there. It was also been something which was mentioned to us in our coaching programs, either it be ECB or with the BCCI and things like that.
They have a fantastic program out there. Actually, Chris Wood, who's the Nottingham Forest striker, and Daryl Mitchell. He took his wickets yesterday and won the game for the Texans. So they actually went to the same university. And then I was just jokingly on the internet, I actually asked the question that, hey, how are these athletes coming through? And they said that they have a fantastic, I forgot what, I think it's in Christchurch or a couple of the universities. They produce the highest caliber athletes, and there's a reason for that. Right?
I was about to come to that. So
right.
The other thing is that while naturally I see that athleticism is there in many of the Nepali young ones because of mountain climbing or adventure sport and other stuff, but that coach education program should have multi-sport thought process as well. That will make a huge difference.
Yeah,
to make them athletes.
Absolutely. Okay. Umit Shrestha, it kind of goes along with the same question that I asked you. Umit Shrestha from Colorado, he says, what could be done on immediate, intermediate, and long-term developments of infrastructure? So this is more on the infrastructure now, to support the growth and steady flow of pipeline of young cricketers into Nepali national team. So more on the infrastructure side.
Yeah, so immediate, again, the same thing. You have at least, let's say 5 proper match playing grounds in every provinces, number 1, with quite a few academy with pitches, at least some, so that they can teach them the basic fundamentals. The intermediate will have 1 stadium, but I would say have at least 3 stadiums, and NPL is the way forward, I think, because that's the world we are living in. It's getting telecasted in good channels, so we have been seen at the global stage. So any of those things will help for sure.
Yeah, I think the NPL is it's a very unique idea, but also it's an opportunity for a lot of people. Even I heard, my friends here in the US that they don't watch cricket, and they are talking about it. So it's making its reverberations around the world with the Nepali community for sure, right? So and that's the way to move forward. Now, I tell people that we should have built the TU should have been, should have had floodlights probably 20 years ago, and I think we're getting started. At least we're getting started in that project. I know Paras Karta is leading that charge, but hopefully we'll get a lot more grounds in around the country.
We say that, right? Better late than never. So
absolutely.
It's happening.
Absolutely, it's happening. Okay. Avinash Loni from Utah. He's actually a very good friend of mine. He actually used to play for Birgunj. Like it was a division, very good player. So he was asking me. He says, "I know it's a game, and we still have so much to learn, but we haven't seen progress in batting." That's one of the questions. Why does Nepal? Same question or second question is, why does Nepali batting collapse at crucial circumstances? I mean, maybe he hasn't seen the last couple weeks, but
No, I think in last 2 years, 3 years, if you see, there are instances where you have scored on average 280s. If he's talking about collapse, probably under pressure in some of those games, you might have seen that. But you have to break it down to understand this. But I agree to him about one thing, that batting is an area where Nepal has to do a lot more, because I would say it again, I haven't gone into any numbers, but I don't think anyone averages more than 40. I think even nobody averages 35 at the moment as far as ODI goes, right? So let me give an example, and I know that I'm using this name, but probably it will trigger him a little more. Dipendra Airi is a great athlete, bowls well, fields well, but when it comes to ODIs, and his ODI numbers is, in terms of batting averages, are below his own expectations. Let's put it that way. And he is one of the very regular featuring member of the national side. So always when he finishes the game, you feel good about it. But I know that he admires Dhoni. So if that is the way to measure yourself, then maybe if he lifts his standards, same way for any players, any of these national players, they need to make sure that they lift their standards and create a benchmark for many to follow them. But for that, again, the solution is all about this. We'll go back to the same conversations,
Sure.
pitches,
yeah.
other things.
But I can see, like, a lot of people don't really pay attention to this sort of facts, but obviously we don't see this. Like, what are the talents that you're dealing with, right? So definitely, in India, it would be unheard of if someone didn't have an average of, like, you didn't have anyone over 40, right? That's not the Ranji trophies and, all these places. You have these people scoring tons and tons of runs, right?
Tons and tons of runs. It's a different level of competition. Selectors have a headache of picking players who are averaging more than 50 at the moment. So it is. Again, IPL is one of the reasons for that, and the domestic structure is one of the reasons for that. You have 7-8 months of good cricket where the state teams are playing 3 formats and number of games. So you have Syed Mushtaq Ali for T20, you have Vijay Hazare for 50 overs, and you have Ranji Trophy for red ball. I don't know if the weather permits us to do all that. And also thinking about it, amount of white ball cricket which the associate teams have to play and to compete with the full member teams, it only makes sense that at least have your 50 over format in place, T20 format in place. We have introduced red ball cricket as 2-day games in the teams which qualifies and plays against each other through the PM Cup. But still long way to go.
Right.
So you can keep on taking insights of the foundational programs in place with all these full member teams and bring in something out here and keep on finding solutions for that.
Okay.
Most of the players I know sometimes in their off time go and train in different places in India. So long-term solution should be they shouldn't be required to go out.
So to that is Can or anyone looking into, let's say, if it's an issue with like the surface, right? Maybe have we looked into have like, let's say under your tenure, did we kind of push the idea to the board that, hey, we probably need some help in this department at the grassroots level? We need better surfaces. Has that message kind of gone out to the board?
The message has gone. The examples have been given. And I know that Mulpani is again an area where there are 2 grounds up and down, and they're trying to get that in good shape. The cricket has increased over there, which is good. Speed of all these things will take its own time and course, but once you have good intent in place, and if people can take this more seriously, I don't think it should take more than a year or 2 to get at least this certain things in place.
Sure.
Because otherwise you'll have, you need a lot more players to be spoken about. I know these are the main names who are taking the responsibility of the country. But if you have domestic structure in place with quality cricket in place, you will have a lot more names which will come up.
Sure. Mohan Madai Bhai, he's actually in Nebraska. He's a big Dhoni fan.
You had a what do you call a lottery system of picking chits which name comes out? Or?
No, I just kind of I need to probably do that because there's a lot of questions, but the questions were very similar in this regard, right? So In your I mean, before we go into this, is the question kind of is the question is what have you learned from Nepali cricket during your coaching period with Nepal, right? I want to add to like my question to that. So as a cricket fan, I personally, with the daily work that we have here, obviously we try to catch up on news and everything. So the moment I learned about that you were not going to be Nepal's coach, obviously, with the contractual thing, I was obviously disappointed in the sense that I thought we were heading the right direction, right? Like it wasn't that, you took us to the World Cup. Yes, we lost to South Africa by a run, and the competition, the margin of these losses were very small, and 3-0 in USA versus USA. So I was, surprised that and disappointed that obviously the contract did not get renewed. What's your take on that? Like, how do you, what do you feel about it? And then, what's in the future?
Was the earlier question though? I mean, I'll talk about this.
Yes. So his question was, what have you learned from Nepali cricket during coaching period in Nepal?
Learning wise, I would say accountability will definitely come in for everyone, including myself. I think, how do I put it? There are quite a few things to talk about, let's go deeper. You asked me in terms of learning, what could be the things that you felt as a cricket team we can talk about.
So just a general progress. Like if you think about a few years back, like or growing up, I would have never imagined that we would come so close to beating South Africa and by that run. And but again, you're competing, you're winning in the USA. And 2 years, yes, is a long time, but it's also not a long time for like a lot of these things to happen, right? But there was definitely signs of progression.
Right. So I think I'm getting where you're coming from. And maybe if the gentleman had asked me from that point of view, learning for me is that, as a professional coach, when I'm heading into the next assignment, some of the reflections are that the previews and the reviews need to be well measured. So every event which you've done with, even if you're winning it, my habit is to also review that. Winning doesn't mean that you keep it aside and be relaxed. What are the things we could have done differently in that too? And that is when the previewing is about, I took a big chance of getting to the World Cup 1 month early. But my massive learning about that is that we could have done better Reiki with the facilities and things that we'll get once we are here, because that is where we had to adapt. I don't think it was a best smart decision from I can say, because I'm in that position of a head coach, from my point of view, that we had to be here 1 month early. My thought process was we come here 1 month early and play some quality games and get into a lot more training, and by the time the World Cup comes, it is not overwhelming for the players. But that is definitely one of my massive learnings. I could have done it differently if I look at that. Coming to the contract thing, I think we live in a professional world. I am proud about the fact that my reports and my journey and my coaching, everything is well accounted. It's put in place. You have management side who also rationalizes things. If we have to go by the rationals, yes, the number of ODI games that we should have won last year were not even to our expectations. We played a cycle of 12 games. We won only two no results. We're close to winning 3 or 4 games. We didn't cross the line. And I get that. So if that is the reason for not getting the extension, or we are not able to renew the contract, I can live with it. Simple as that. So you have to go with that. You mentioned yes about the World Cup thing. I think if there were anything related to World Cup, people need to go more deeper to understand the kind of message and the kind of impact that they have lived, where they have left at the highest level. Because I know that the entire world cricket were pleasantly surprised with the kind of effort Nepal put in. We went there with one promise to ourselves that we'll connect to our deepest identity, which is compete. And I'm very happy as a coach that in all 3 games we competed. We wanted results. We wanted to get to Super 8. We couldn't. I'm sure with this experience now, they'll do better.
Sure. That makes sense. Coach, I wanted to ask you, I know in our conversations here in the past couple of days, I personally have not met Paras Kharga. Hopefully someday I'll be able to land him on the podcast and we'll talk to him. He gives me hope, but can you talk about Paras Kharga a little bit? Like, how'd you end up meeting him, or like your experience with him and what you see with him in the future for Nepali cricket? Like, how is he handling everything? And, can take us a little bit through that.
No, he's madly in love with this game for sure. That is something which I can say. He's evolving as a leader. One is you be a leader as a captain and a player on the ground with the cricket team, and now is as an administrator. So it is a different ball game. I know that he's in this position for last 1.5 years now, somewhere around October, November 2023 is when he got elected. So with the kind of connects that he's making, the inroads that he's doing, and as we speak, we know that the official fixtures, in my tenure, obviously we played against West Indies A, but now Nepal is going to play the West Indies team in Sharjah Stadium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is commendable effort. We want to be a full member team. That was the dream for every Nepali, and Paras is doing the same. I think he is a strong leader. He has got clarity, and he will make it happen.
Yeah,
he'll make it happen.
And someone who's come up the system and played and captained Nepal and he's seen pretty much everything. I think that's
my good memories with him is that he was a captain, he was a player, and in Ireland when we went to World Cup qualifiers and we could not qualify, I've seen him as a character, and Pubudu was the head coach, and for some efforts and all that. I also remember asking Pubudu to give him the Royals cap as part of the memories and all those things which goes in the background and you hold on to it as good memories. So I've seen him. I've seen all those different layers of him, as a leader.
Sure.
I'm sure even he will say this long way to go. So, long way to go, but the intentions are good. You want to make sure that cricket as a sport leaves a good message for Nepal. I think even you would agree to this, that many have come across, say that, we have got an identity now in the world because of this one sport.
Absolutely.
And that is what inspires me as well when I'm talking about it.
Yeah. I know we talked about your time in Nepal. You spent, you went around and you obviously bonded with people. People absolutely love you. I mean, by the way, me just putting this out on the channel, and I've already gotten like so many messages. Just I can see the love from the Nepali people to you, and same thing from your side to Nepal. You've spoken about your connections obviously to the Nepali culture, right? Anything that has, how has that shaped your bond with players and fans? Like before you came to Nepal and you're doing other things, right? Now you got introduced to Nepal. What changed in your head about Nepal?
The colors, the culture, the festivals. And again, coming from India, that's something which connects with me as well. So, quite a few things. I was already on a journey of a bit of spirituality, but I've grown into it a lot more because of my time in Nepal. And I enjoyed the Dasais.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the Dasais. I also enjoyed my good time in Hayat Place with the staff over there when they celebrated the New Year, the Nepal calendar.
Yes.
So that was really good. So cricket is one thing, right? We plan cricket, we prepare all the boys, we sweat on the ground, and all those cricket activities goes. But the human side of it, I think I enjoyed my time in my Basanti bus. I call it Basanti, that yellow bus which we have with the team. I don't know if it's still the same because it's been now 4-5 months. So I don't know what's happening. That when they're at home, do they sit in the same bus? But the music which Casey plays, the music which Kushal Malla plays. Obviously, I pushed them into the meditation journey as well. Not always that they enjoyed it. And I expect so, that it is boring. But hey, success is boring. The most successful people have some serious, boring routines as well. And that's how they become successful. So I'm sure now they'll be more relaxed. There's no one out there, is pushing a lot of meditation to them.
Yeah. Now I can see, Coach, just you're describing those moments. I can see that warmness, that smile that's sort of like coming towards me. Like I could see that you really enjoyed your time in Nepal, and
This is the story which will remain with me forever. And this story is more like, you forget the whole world.
Yeah.
You are living in your own bubble, and it is a beautiful bubble to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Nepali people absolutely love you, and was there any? I mean, obviously you talked about like the Dasai and you had like your traditions and anything, but was there any few moments? I know we talked about like going to Pasupati, right? Like you were a regular there. Anything else that you have your time from Nepal?
No, I think the biggest and the best gift I could have given to my wife in year 2023 was our 25th anniversary. And as soon as we qualified, and I went to Pokhara, so that was one of the best experiences in Rupa Court. And I spent time with my wife, so that was one of those special moments, and I think even she enjoyed it a lot.
Okay.
And again, the warmth, the way the people received me in Rupa Court, the management out there and people, that was a great experience as well. So,
okay.
I mean, we also did an adventure thing, paragliding.
Oh, you did do paragliding?
Yeah,
Okay.
we did paragliding
from Sarankot maybe, right? Yeah.
And I forgot the gentleman's name, but one who was with me in paragliding, he was again speaking a lot about a lot of things. He was funny. So yeah, some
in flight.
In flight.
You're trying to calm
he was trying to calm me
down.
Yeah. Walk into the unknowns with excitement, but I was nervous at that point.
I bet. I mean, I don't blame you one bit. Okay, so what's next for Monty coming up now? Like, what's next in your chapter? Like, what are your plans, or do you have any plans?
No, of course. I mean, see, I think I've been on the road since 2019. Afghanistan was my great moment with Coach Phil Simmons. Then obviously I did 1 year of Ranji Trophy with Andhra for a lot of family reasons. So it gave me time with family as well. But since 2019, when I again joined with Coach Simmons in West Indies, 3 years there and 2 years with Nepal, I have been on the road for the last 5 years. Not spend number of weeks with family, which I'm doing it now. So at the moment, the next chapter is more about spending time with family, trying to educate myself how good a father can play a role as a father. So that's what I'm doing. Not that I don't enjoy doing coaching, but I'm doing coaching with the locals in Atlanta at the moment. And yes, I'm in talks with few people, probably few assignments, but maybe I'll have to think through now very carefully that do I really want to be away from family for a lot more longer period. I love coaching, I know that. So even if I take it up in a few weeks' time, I might be again normal with that stuff. But at the moment, I'm really enjoying my time with my family and seeing that bond growing together as 4 of us together.
Sure, no, that sounds great. So let's put a little bit of this cricket in Nepal just on the side, just for a second. I want to focus on Monty. So you're an engineer. You were an engineer before you were a coach, or you're like set aside, right? Yeah. Can you talk about your engineering journey and what because you were here in the US, right? So talk about that for a little bit.
Qualification, fabrication, erection engineering did that in Vashi, Navi Mumbai. Took admission in that college especially because the syllabus showed that they also play college cricket, which never happened. So
They duped you.
We ended up playing only inter-class tennis ball cricket. So that is what it is. And but I came across luckily in Navi Mumbai Sports Association professional coach who was also a Ranji Trophy player, Subhash Bandavdekar, who introduced me to a lot of professional cricket out there. Of course, I had my own club in Yoginagar, but that's where my cricketing journey started side by side. But education was all about engineering, and the fact remains that although my father never did did any education in engineering, he had 2 factories, and we were expertise of solvent extraction machineries, which we used to manufacture under his leadership. And with me, the only son, we made sure that the factories were shut and no more engineering business. And I kept on doing coaching. So that is bit of Monty for you in terms of education, where it was, and moved to US in 2006 for good to again do something which my father wanted it, motor business. I disappointed him second time. I said, no, I'm going back. I'll be involved in coaching. Luckily, I did get a breakthrough with Rajasthan Royals for 7 years. So I spent a lot of time there. And then many other things which I did with associate countries and all that stuff. But, when you tell us about Monty, I think I have got some great bonding with my childhood friends, which still keeps me going very nicely when I'm not with anything to do with cricket. That goes very well. I've got a lovely close family with sisters who are kind of support system for me. So all that is in place.
Yeah.
All that is in place.
And you are, you're an avid, I guess, jogger or walker, like you like your steps. And,
Walk, yes.
yeah.
Walking is something which I do. I know that, again, I don't know how to put it, but there are so many cameras in Nepal from different angles which keeps on capturing, and they have also captured a jog, walk, all that stuff, which is funny.
Yeah.
But it's okay. That is something which keeps me going. My attitude is that I need to keep myself fit enough to ensure that I keep earning the bread for my family.
Sure.
And while these days you don't expect a lot of people to live 100 years, but that is the other thing which I say, let's keep an attitude of at least living for 100 years.
Sure. And you're a vegetarian? Yeah. And that is something that that you're trying to impart into like your family as well, right? Like your daughters.
I am trying to. I'm trying to. Not every time they want to listen to lectures of father. But yeah, there's enough information which comes to them through special phones, these social media platforms. Yeah, that is what it is.
Okay, and your daughters are encouraging you to start a podcast.
Oh yes,
we would like to have. We would love to listen to your podcast. Please get it done like today after this session. Please, you can kind of start right here, or I don't know, you want to go back and
maybe I can ask the Nepali fans to start with, because I know that I have found my identity very well with you all people. Loved each day of it, and if they feel that I can be good enough to do a podcast and bring in some good things to them, then they can advise me what should I bring in podcast.
Sure, absolutely. And again, the coach. A lot of people, yes, people know you that from coaching Nepal, right? But prior to that, you were in dressing rooms in some sense with like folks like Shane Warne. We talked about that, right? And you've been to people like Dinesh Karthik, and they're all of them. You have coached them, and I believe that we will love to have a podcast where we'd love to listen to your conversation with Dinesh Karthik and all that. So I think that is something that.
Yeah, I'll be grateful to them if they come to my podcast once they see how well I'm able to facilitate. You have been very good in that. Of course, Rahul Dravid is one of the person I'll definitely like to have, on my podcast, because he has been one of those role models and mentor like Andy Flower and others. Let's see if that comes out well.
Sure. Okay, so for Monty, what we'll do is we'll just also put up your Instagram handle so people can follow you, so that you can kind of tell people, give a status on how your podcast is progressing and everything else. Other than that, do you have anything else to kind of share, while we wrap this up?
Well, I hope that I was able to participate in your podcast with full attention. I did mention to you that I'm a little distracted with a few things happening in personal life and challenges like that, but wanted to make sure that I'm fully invested in this.
Absolutely, you were.
Conversation with you. Nothing much. I keep saying that stories are powerful, and at the moment in world cricket, with so many things happening, people dying for no good reason, I think sport is one way where it brings in a lot of happiness. And Nepali fans, keep supporting these young dreams. Not for the first time you're hearing it from me. Keep supporting the new management, and make sure that the story gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah, thank you, Coach. Again, I really appreciate you being here and what you've done for Nepali cricket, and your efforts will not be forgotten. So thank you so much. And again, namaste. Thank you so
Gnano
much.
namaskar and dheere dhanyavad.
Dhanyavad. Thank you.